Hello, welcome to today's price talk video where I'll talk about NEER and GLMR and a little bit about Bitcoin, not too much about that. It's just to kind of showcase what's actually happening with Bitcoin and why is the NEER price going up from Bitcoin Pioneer. And then we'll also talk a bit about the dual token model from Bitcoin Pioneer, NEER and BIT. So as you can see here, NEER has been on a constant uptrend since, and this is where it kicked off here. This was on the 12th of September. As you can see, when we had this small spike here, it may not seem like a lot if you look at the wider time frame here, if you zoom out, but this was the trigger here. And then as you can see, we pulled all the way back here. So we went from like 23 cents here, 24 cents, all the way up to 27, and then we dumped, right? And then we had another push. We dumped a little bit more, another push, sellers pushed in again, but then the buyers really stepped in here and took this to another level, although the sellers took it down once again. So as you can see, there were traders here trying to sell as soon as possible, waiting for times like these just to get out, and then we pushed once again. But as you can see, the sellers crept in again, 29 cents. So it just didn't want to stay above 30 cents. It kept dumping, and for good reason, because Bitcoin was also dumping, and yet NEER was holding strong. So with every Bitcoin dump, NEER was dumping, but buyers stepped in because they want to build those metaverses. They want to build those NFTs. They want to get everything in order. I should say mint those NFTs because they can mint those NFTs right now. And if you have BIT or NEER, you can mint NFTs, and you can even get them from the marketplace as well. And so as you can see, there has been some momentum. We did stabilize though for quite a while here around 30 cents, 34 cents as well. We had 33 cents a few times. But then this is where we really picked up. Okay, so this was basically accumulation, and then boom, we didn't want to go lower, which is a good sign. And then we just started the uptrend here. And as you can see, the uptrend is continuing. I first thought this is going to be a head and shoulders here. But I mean, looking at this, it could potentially be. This could be the left shoulder. This could be the head now pushing up a little bit higher. And then we could see a dump come and bringing us down back to around the 35 cents area, even maybe lower. For the next shoulder, for the right shoulder. But if it's not, if I'm wrong about this, and I hope I'm wrong, then it could continue the uptrend here nicely because the price is super low for a metaverse platform. And if building is gonna happen, people are gonna want to buy NEER, not financial advice, in order to stake and generate BIT, because there's no other way to get BIT right now. But you will be able to get BIT in the near future with the upcoming update, which will have a swap mechanism between BIT and NEER. Remember, BIT is the token on the Bitcoin Pioneer parachain, which is transferable. Apparently, you cannot transfer it right now, but it does have the ability to be transferable. Okay, they didn't create a functionality, a UI. We don't have a UI to do it, but it does actually transact. You can transact with it, right? So once they will create the UI, once they will integrate that functionality, likely in the wallet of the Bitcoin Pioneer platform, when you go to the metaverse, then we should see what the market is going to decide for it. But there is one other thing I want to talk about before we talk about GLMR, and that is the BIT getting burned. And so as you can see here, the team have tweeted here on day 4, this was a number of hours ago, that 96,102 BIT have been burned. 89 metaverse projects do exist in total now on Bitcoin Pioneer, with 23 new ones, 218 NFT collections, and over 3.5 million NEER have been staked. And so the BIT reward is lower and lower with each number of stakes, right? Because with each number of new stakes, I should say, because it's normal, right? It gets divided by that, right? There's a number of BIT that gets allocated per block or per round. And after each round, which is around 24 hours, then you get that BIT allocation, and it's spread across how many people are staking. The less people are staked, the more BIT you get. And so because a lot of people are staking now, you get less BIT, right? You get like 0.12 BIT, I believe. That was my last calculation for each one NEER that you're staking. But you do need to have like a minimum of 100 NEER to stake. Okay, so yeah, looking at this, this is pretty much what they've been talking about here, but there is something else I want to cover here, and it's in relation to an event. So apparently you do get a chance to meet the founder, Ray Liu, and Justin Pham, who's the new CEO now, and Chris, who I've already met in Berlin at Polkadot Decoded, Germany. You can meet them in Singapore on the 29th of September. If you are interested, they will be there at an event. It's called Token 2049. And so yeah, if you want to go there, or if you happen to be in Singapore or maybe nearby and you want to go there, you will get to meet them, which is going to be pretty cool because you get to hear directly from them. And so yeah, I mean, I'm thinking, I'm quite positive, quite optimistic here that things are going to be okay for NEER going forward, because I just don't see anything pushing it down except for the price of Bitcoin, right? I mean, if Bitcoin holds around 19K and doesn't dump way below it, I'm sure it could go to 18K again, right? There's no stopping it. But as long as it doesn't go to something like 14K, as some traders are speculating, then we should be in a good position for more accumulation for NEER and for the price to eventually push up. And then that would make the $1 price not so unreal anymore, right? It could potentially happen. I mean, you just need 321,000 NEER to be bought to take us to $1, which would give us a nice price. I may argue it would be a new all-time high, because even though the price started at like 120 on KuCoin when we first traded, you couldn't actually sell at 120, right? You could only sell around 88 cents for like a couple of seconds before it started dumping, but you could have sold a larger amount at like 80 cents, right? Because it did trade around that for longer. And so we have dumped just under 50% from that all-time high, I should say. And so, you know, we could revisit that, right? It's not out of the woods, right? You just need 298K to get to 90 cents, 323K to get to $1. And then once we're in the $1 territory, as you can see, the selling pressure is diminishing here. It's not that much more to get to $2. And so the gap is getting smaller and smaller. Most of the selling pressure is around this area here, with people eager to get out, I should say, because that's how it is, right? People in the bear market just don't have a good feel for projects anymore. And this is how people lose out, because in the last bear market, it was the same. It was a very dull moment. We all thought projects are going to die. And then a lot of those projects that we thought are going to die have done extremely well. Some have even went to 100x. Shockingly, and me personally, I have been guilty of selling early. I have been guilty of not holding throughout the bear market, and then when the bull began, I sold too early because I was delighted with a 2x, and it ended up doing a 100x. And so I have had that situation from the NEO ecosystem, for example, some of the ICOs there that I used to be closely following. And so yeah, I do have high hopes that NEER can get to $1. I'm not saying it's going to happen before the end of this year, but there is a probability. It all depends on what they're going to launch, the price of BIT. If BIT is going to be valuable, then there's going to be motivation for people to buy NEER to stake and get BIT, right? Because that would be a nice passive income, especially in a bear market. And so until we see what the BIT token is going to be trading at, until we see more demand for the metaverse building, until we see some maybe new partnerships, if they can bring some new interesting partners on board to build a metaverse and then attract an audience, then that audience could potentially make the price of NEER go up, right? There is that probability too. And the team are working on that. So they've definitely got a strategy in place. And this is why I have not lost my trust, even if there have been delays, right? It is what it is. All we can do now is accept it, move on, and just hope for the best. Because if the best will happen, it will pay off the patient ones. Moving on, let's talk about GLMR here. 51 cents. As you can see, we had this nice pop here. It was a spike to 55 cents, which is a bit weird because we don't normally see spikes for GLMR. These kind of spikes normally take place for Mover. I'm not really going to talk about Mover anymore. I have personally sold my Mover to get GLMR. Why is that? Well, because ever since I had that conversation with Derek Q, and he has explained that the plan was to get Moonbeam integrated with Uniswap and not Moonriver, it just gives me that vibe that Moonbeam is the one that's going to get more attention. It is a shame because I really like Moonriver. I like the low supply. I like the fact that Crowdloaners are no longer getting any more coins, and so because of that, there was a high probability that the price could do well. And I'm not saying it might still do, right? But I'm just getting that feeling that more building is going to happen on Moonbeam. And if that does happen, then it will likely have an effect on the price too. And so it's interesting to see that we had the very first spike in the last while here on GLMR. And it just shows you that the attention is kind of moving towards that now, right? And yeah, it is moving with Bitcoin though. Like, so I'm not saying that it's definitely going to do wonders until we see some major move, but this could also be a catalyst for the next push here, although it is going to encounter resistance. Look at this resistance here. So 52 cents is resistance now, but if we can break past that, we will revisit 55 cents once again. It all depends if Bitcoin wants to go to over 20K, and this is when we're going to look at Bitcoin. As you can see, It went to 19.4k here, then pushed to 20k. We revisited 20k, but now we wanted to go back below 20k again. But I do think, I mean, looking at this movement here, I am expecting Bitcoin to break above 20k over this weekend once again, and hopefully moving us into Monday to a green market once again, because we have been seeing a lot of sideways movement here with Bitcoin between 18.5k and 22.5k. Closely touching 23k on rare occasions, and so I'm not expecting it to do wonders. I am expecting it to continue this for another while, but again, anything could really happen, right? Some people are saying that with the CPI report that we're due to get in October from the US, it could be good for the price of crypto, the crypto market as a whole, and also the stocks, depending on the inflation. So we'll have to watch that closely as well, but there's still a month to go, and so we have to see how it's going to be. I think until then we're going to see a lot of sideways action, not much movement, mostly traders playing around, shorting, longing. So that's why I think we're going to stick around this area between 18.5k and 22.5k. Obviously not necessarily touching these levels. We could even be playing between 19 and 21 for all we know, but I'm saying around this area, right between these two levels. And so yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. I will be doing another video later to talk about the news from the .sama ecosystem, but for now this is it. Thank you for watching and see you later. Bye bye.